But the couple times we've seen him not play Roadhog, it's been
Himsy is a good player. I mean, there's no doubt. And he can flex, but there's not quite the star power there is in Himsy, well, compared when he's on the Roadhog. I mean, we saw him play Genji here. We even see it in the replay right here. And it's not a go-to here to Himsy. I mean, I would have liked to see it Zini on Genji, as we did on Nepal later on. But I think it was a good idea to put someone again at least, and Himsy was there. So.
That replay there as well is a good example. Sometimes as an ANA player, you've got to play a little bit more like Zenyatta when you've got teams that are pressuring you a bit more. Obviously Zenyatta's super fragile, big hitbox, and it's harder to hit, but when you're being focused down, sometimes you just need to pick corners. You can still have a huge impact on the game. And Lisa, this is probably what he's best at, swing and hammer in general. And Hanamura is a map where Reinhardt's are very heavily focused, because not only do you have to be the spearhead, but you do need to do a lot of damage in these fights, and they often can be comparable to DPS players in that regard.
So I want to point out here, and this was kind of the problem for Sweden in what they try to do, that they just leave time up here. And on the other end, you can see Zapp is just standing on the high ground, just laying out the damage. And there's nothing really Sweden can do about it. But moving on to Root, of course.
Yeah, it's not the first time that Timo had too much space to work with. Another good example right here. This is just after he wrecked IDDQD as well, who tried to pressure him up on that left side and forced him back. IDDQD saw the Deadeye come out. There's not much that he could really do. I actually like what Finland did on Route 66 in general. I actually like their attacks. We'll maybe talk about it a little bit later on. But, I mean, this here as well. Tvik, sometimes he's just got to go for the Reaper. The most robust comp that Sweden had available to them was that Reaper and the Mei in general.
Yeah, some highlight reels from Himsy coming out here. He landed a couple of hits. There's another one on chips. He manages to pull it through. It really did slow things down and obviously bought Finland a lot of time. But ultimately, obviously, that was what won them the map, really, here on Route 66.
Something I did like about Sweden here is they switched to a triple tank composition, and it worked very well for them. Yeah. Sebusai moving onto the Roadhog puts a lot of pressure on Taimu, on the McCree, and it creates space for the IDDQD on his McCree at the same time, so very smart from Sweden.
Game 3 was a little bit concerning because we actually saw the Reaper Mei come out from the side of for Sweden there. I think at that point it's like, this is just the most safe comp to play. We don't want to reinvent the wheel here. We just want to keep it simple. The tricky part is on that kind of map is that the gap, it actually sets McCree up to be in his optimal range situation. So Taimu, whether he has control of the point or not, can generally stay safe, and he is pretty much the bane of a Reaper Mei comp in that regard. He pretty much wrecks both of them. You're going to force Shadow Walks out, you're going to be forcing Ice Blocks out from both of those there as well. However, we saw at the end, once Sweden had control of the point, that's where it changed, because now the Mei is going to exacerbate and increase your control with area of effect abilities like the Blizzard and also the Endothermic Blaster to make it very, very hard, because you have to filter onto the point through very small egress points. Easy to hit those ice spikes and to freeze people up as they approach.
And the Blizzard was the one that turned it really at 99%, wasn't it? That's the one thing that got in there, so while Timer was helping out. But let's talk about Route 66 again. Let's go back to there, because I know you had a replay set up for that one. It was basically beautiful positioning.
Yeah, I mean, we may have a look at that one. Man, I have time for that one. But Finland went for something a little bit different, something that we're not used to seeing there as well, as they pressured on towards the point. On the second stage of Route 66, there is... it's concentric almost in its nature that an attacking team can get around behind that building. And what we actually saw, without a replay to illustrate it here, I'm going to use my hands, is that Finland went around the backside, right? They went around the backside, the payload was almost to the door, and they set up. Taimu now is in a position where he can Deadeye, and the rest of his team goes to the payload. If you're Sweden here, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Because if you don't contest, the payload is going to get to the checkpoint. If you do contest, you walk directly into the cone or the area of influence of the Deadeye from Taimu, and then you have to be that much more careful in doing so. So putting the enemy team in situations where it's kind of a lose-lose by manipulating them and also having good maneuverability yourself as a team is going to help you come through those situations and break through those sort of holds that enemies can put on you.
And one thing I noticed at the end of Route 66 and actually carried over to the end of our Nepal map was Chips. I feel like the last couple seconds of a map are Chips' best. He's Ana and he is murdering people in a way that he doesn't do sort of in the middle of the map. So it really feels like he's been a big factor in Sweden's success to close things out as well.
We even saw Chips dueling with Timo as well a few times in there, and coming out on top as well, which is pretty damn impressive.
Well, getting the trade, of course, a fantastic Ana player, and playing versus a triple tank composition and versus a McCree, you have a lot more space to work with. So Shipsai, and this was really his kind of matchup and where he shines.
And we actually have Golden Boy down on the floor with Tvik from Team Sweden to catch us up after this last match. Golden Boy, take it away.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Yeah, that's right. Look at this guy. It's pretty cool. Bastion cosplay. How's it going, folks? Golden Boy down here at the floor, and I'm joined by the one, the only, Tvik. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing very well.
So we're gonna try and keep the interview a little brief because you pretty much lost your voice yelling at your teammates to, make this whole thing happen, which I totally get. One thing I do want to talk about is that the Bastion play, because that was just so cool. Of course, we saw a little bit of that sprinkled throughout the World Cup, the Overwatch World Cup. What was the objective there for you guys coming out of it? I mean, obviously, you wanted to shred them as much as you possibly could, but did you feel like that was enough of a surprise? And did you really think it was going to work from the beginning?
I mean, from the start, it always has a good chance to actually succeeding, but it's kind of just like a straight-up surprise and worked out for us.
Yeah, typically what you end up seeing is like people bust out the Bastion, doesn't really work out that well, then they switch out, or maybe they'll just switch out because they decide it's just let's not linger on it too long. You decided no, I'm going to stick with this thing the entire time, which was pretty cool. But now, of course, you got to dive into that last part there, the final hill. That was just absolutely absurd. What were the comms like when you guys were making that incredible comeback, 99 from a 0 deficit? That's just absurd.
Just screams all over. We were just screaming at each other. We were just pumping each other up, calling out the focus target, and especially that last moment where I managed to kill Timer while it was nano-boosted, and then just completely changed everything. Like, if I wouldn't have done that, it would have looked very different.
Well, of course, I don't want to keep you here too long. I know you want to go celebrate with your team, but I do have one more thing to announce here, and hopefully the crowd will join me in congratulating Tvik, who is our T-Mobile MVP for the game. So congratulations, my main man, Tvik. This guy's incredible. Definitely check him out. But I'm going to let you go ahead. Have a go on, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us here. Congratulations. Back to you guys over at the desk.
Thank you so much, Golden Boy. Congrats to Vic on that T-Mobile MVP award in our bronze match. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is about time for the final event. It's going to be South Korea versus Russia. But before we get there, check out this quick recap of BlizzCon's Overwatch World Cup. We're going to start off the day with Russia and France.
Use that sound barrier. Graviton Surge comes in as well. 2 from Shadowburn. He's stuck inside though. He's going to have to get out of there. Takes out Piccolo. And this is where Russia can take advantage here. But it's going to be Shadowburn going to dive on the opposing Lucio. Able to take out Alpha Cast. And he's going to pause the Dragon Blade. Gets 2 big kills there. And now you see Russia getting towards the point. Russia right now so close to that victory moment. Shadowburn getting all the cleanup he needs. And Russia in overtime. They're going to take it.
We are ready to go. Spain versus Finland.
Timer needs to take Biscuit over at the big double hit shot. Not bad. Not quite enough to get the job done though. But a Graviton Surge was used now. Timer, he has Spain. He has the Ditto. Slister comes in.
Himsy and Linksa comes on through. Pascanova picked up. Linksa with the hammer. He's swinging away. Winhaven doing what he can, but he's picked in the corner. Can't manage to get a pin. Timer comes on through. Finland may well have just done it. They flipped the point. It's 91% and counting. No time. Finland will do it. They are through to the semi-finals to face Russia.
Are you ready for South Korea versus USA?
Miro on his own, pops that primal rage, takes out Stair, and already USA in a bit of trouble. Gods goes down, and Miro already that one-man army. A little bit of support from the team, of course. And while Graviton Surge's Huma comes in, big aggressive move by South Korea. Will it pay off though? Looks like it is so far. Kills coming in. There's the Dragon Blade, the Nano Boost on Arhan, and they absolutely wreck USA. South Korea will take Eichenwalde, they will take the 2-0.
It is time for our final quarterfinal match, and that is between China and Sweden.
He's in a perfect position again now. Boosin picks up 3, gets to the back line. Oh, and it is not good. Megma, the last one alive here for China, just trying to stay alive. Get through. It's going to be a big Earth Shatter from Pangu. He's going to get 1, pinned up against the wall. This is where China can make something happen. IAVQ takes out 1. Here comes another Blizzard in from the side of China. They're able to take 1 out inside of it. Going to get nano boosted, trying to get some damage out. Now gets the Dragon Blade, and this is not good for China. You see to be going that back, trying to clear out Pangu, and he does do that. And things falling apart here for China. It's going to be Sweden taking the series 2-0.
We are down to our top 4 teams in the semifinals.
Russia versus Finland. There will be Finland pushing through now as well. You can see Shadowburn going to go up high and back down. This is what he does here. He gets Sadie straight away, though. That's quite nasty. And he can't respond to that. If you're Finland, Shadowburn takes him by surprise, and there's nothing they can do but just fall apart. Back at the McCree, but it's got to be getting picked on. He's on the left side. He's too far away from his team. He's going to go in, but Shadowburn now in the Dragon Blade here. He gets himself on one zap. Is any more? Yes, Macbeth's going to fall. Almost a third. One more right click should do the job. There's nothing that can be done here. Surely Finland are going to fall apart. Russia get over the line. It's 2-1, and Russia will be going to the final.
Are you excited for South Korea and Sweden?
Boost here, yep. So we saw that last match play before.
Yeah, Graviton Surge comes in, and there's a Dragon Blade from Overwatch, looking for the same play they used against the US earlier, and it's working so far. Oh, it's Dragon Blade time again. Arhan is ready, and there he's going to pull it out, going after Zebasai. Can he get the kill? He gets it. Now finds Chipsai, and that's two. He's getting the resets. He goes back in. I don't know what's going on. South Korea is coming in, but they're getting the kills. It looks like this might be what they need. And South Korea will take the match 2-0. They are going to the finals against Russia.
Hey, welcome back. So that was our recap from yesterday at BlizzCon. There was so much action here, and a lot of teams that stood out. USA did not do what I needed them to do to get here today, but I'm still so proud of them, and I think they did so well in this tournament. Who are you rooting for, D-Man?
Obviously, we're rooting for Russia. I mean, obviously, the South Korea have come through and literally decimated everyone here. Russia yesterday stepped up their game, I felt, against Finland. They were absolutely brilliant as a team overall. Everybody seemed to shine. And I think they're going to have to go even another step further to have a chance against Korea.
I hate to sound like Monty, but I'm honestly rooting for whoever's been playing better so far. And Korea looked just ridiculously good by comparison. I did say about Russia that they didn't have to be at their best to beat France. And maybe that's the same about Korea in this next upcoming game. I do have to say we've seen very, very good things, though, from Russia. The thing is, right, US and Korea, in fact, in Sweden, Finland and Korea as well, the same thing could be said. The game wasn't close. It was exciting and competitive, but not close. So
It was close
one way or
another.
I don't know, honestly.
There's so much disagreement on the desk. Reinforce, what do you think?
I think Russia will give us a proper showing.
Really?
I think if any team at the Overwatch World Cup will take maps from South Korea, it's going to be Russia. Because I think they have the playstyle, I think they have Shadowburn, and I'm going to go more in depth about this later. I think that Russia can potentially do an upset, but it would be one hell of an upset.
All right, hey, please, nobody bully him out of that position today. Stay firm today, Reinforce.